I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a circuit that demands absolute precision, bravery, and just a little bit of luck. Tonight I'm your host, Sagar Bakshi, and it's green, green, green here at the Miami Autodromo Internazionale. Side by side, there goes Sean Stam, the Stam Man, and the 000 as well. Papa Green made up 3 positions in 2 laps. With Leslie Simpkins now throws his elbows out at Drew. Welcome to the Temple of Speed, where history, horsepower, and endurance will all collide. Today, the Big Power Hunter Endurance Tour returns for Season 6, presented by Sausage Dodgers Racing. And there could be no better place for glory than the legendary Autodromo Nazionale de Monza. Round 1 marks a fresh start for every driver and every team. New championship hopes, new rivalries begin. It all begins here. But Monza will waste no time exposing even the smallest of mistakes. With massive braking zones, relentless straight line speed, heavy traffic, and strategy that will remain flexible from start to finish, this race will demand far more than outright pace tonight. Drivers will need to survive the opening charge into the Rettifilio chicane, manage their equipment across long stints, execute every pit stop strategy, and stay composed as the pressure builds. One lockup, one penalty, or one poorly timed move could completely reshape the opening chapter of this championship. The engines are ready. The teams are prepared. Season 6 is about to become alive. From Monza, Italy, welcome. This is round 1 of the Big Power Hunters Endurance Tour, presented by Sausage Dodgers Racing, and it starts now. Welcome everybody to Monza, the Autodromo Nazionale de Monza in Italy, 5.75 kilometers long And 80 miles per hour in the pit speed. 80% fuel for the GTP, 70% for the GT3s. Couple tricky keys to the race for the drivers. Survive the opening lap chicanes. Number 2, protect the brakes and tires. Number 3, use the draft strategically, as slipstreaming will cause major passing opportunities. And obviously number 4, execute those pit stop strategies with precision. Taking a look at the qualifying run so far for the GT3s up until this point. It's been so far so good. .146.50 being the pole position time from the 222. The Manuel Bellino. Couple of Italians leading the charge. And the top 6 right now held down pretty steadfast. Mattia Ubertali in the mix with that charge. Running in P2, 6/10 back from where he currently wants to be. Alessio Carino, the driver from Italy, coming through the final lap. Just a couple more minutes left on the clock to get this one done. Let's see what they can stitch together before the end of their time is over. Coming out of Parabolica, down the front stretch we go. Carino goes to P2 with a 147.10 last time by for the 666. At those attachments. And Ubertali is then a 10th back currently. It's going to be a 147.12 for Mattia Ubertali on his run. Very close times, everybody. Galactic Gremlin, welcome to the stream. Leslie, welcome to the stream. Galactic Gremlin. We had a couple others. LB Racing, I saw as well. Everybody, welcome to the chat. Really appreciate all the love and support you guys are giving here to the Sausage John's Racing. Interesting note of point is going to be Pavel Nemrava. It's going to be sitting out of the session so far. George Angelico Pelucas and the 96. A lot of McLarens out there, and it looks like a manufacturer dominance this evening. What can Angelica Poulos do from way down the order in P12 currently? Well, we'll have to see what they're capable of producing. Looks like a good run coming through the first chicane and headed out of the Lesmos. Carino, though, leading the charge by less than a 10th right now as Bellino crosses the line and goes all the way up into P2, holding down P1 right now is still going to be Alessio Carino. Amazing times from the drivers right now. This qualifying session is definitely boiling over. Ladislav Bavarak, the number 26 BMW, down 2.3 seconds, is going to hold the charge coming out of the final corner. Let's see what they're capable of producing. 16th position right now, 17th position as one more gets done on Ladislav Bavarak. Bavarak crosses the line. No improvement last time round. That'll be 1:48.81. That will be an improvement on their personal lap time, but not overall. Couple minutes left. Bellino tops the charts. Goes past Carino on that last lap. 146.421. And the Ferrari gets bested by the lovely long-legged Lamborghinis. It's going to be an Italian showdown here in Italy. Crazy lap times right now. Look at the spread. The top 9 all within 1 second of each other. And Augusto Sacosio finds himself up into the second row. Sacosio goes through. Bellino. Carino into the pits. He's done with it. He says he's done with qualifying. Remember, the folks, that this race will be live stewarded by, of course, our lovely sausages. Make sure you give a big shout out and thanks to all of our live stewards who are working hard behind the scenes. Mattia Ubertali trying to stitch something together as well, coming into the final couple of seconds of this qualifying for them. Track is called to be cleared because the GTPs are starting to roll out. Now we have a couple drivers still trickling into the session now. As the drivers trickle into the session, we'll have the timing tower become updated. Bellino, though, definitely topped the charts tonight. Tim Williams in the Sausage Dodgers 797. Let's see what they can produce here. Topping 300 kilometers an hour, coming down the front stretch. into the braking zone of the first chicane. Rajia's chicane leads into the Lesmos, but Rettifilio into Curva Grande here for the first time of asking. It won't be a hot lap for Tim Williams this time by. It'll be an installation lap. Look at these lovely Sausage Dodgers liveries that we got the drivers using today. See if we can get a rear chase cam of that. Beautiful Sausage Dodgers liveries created in-house. If you're looking for livery work, make sure you check out the Sausage Dodgers organization to get your own version of Sausage Dodgers Racing. Sausage Dodgers organization is also looking for admins and teams to participate in organized events. So if you're interested in joining, make sure you check out Sausage Dodgers Endurance Racing. A little bit of draft help being given right now. Tim Williams, I believe that'll be Chris Carr in the number 3 behind him. That's the 74. Paul Rocky Cook. Next driver up. Lap time's coming in. And Tim Williams with a big tank slapper goes right into the wall for the qualifying run. Paul Rocky Cook, who gets the dividends of that as the times come in now. Paul Rocky Cook gets bumped down a few positions as Thomas Oliviati, Oscar Corbett, and Ethnic try to do their best right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Get notifications for when we're live here on Sausage Dodgers Racing and on AK Esports. Here's Dan Miller in the number 23. Dan Miller also running a very stylish livery out here tonight. In that hypercar category, the South African driver in the Porsche. Simon Music in that spot that was going to be third place, but immediately trickles down as Dan Miller goes up into P2, best over Thomas Oliviati now. A little bit of dust kicked up from a car that's gone off track right now. And Oliviati actually running in P1 currently. Oliviati, just phenomenal drive from him, the Italian man representing some American stripes right now, throwing a little bit of a haymaker to me right now, I think. The American flag getting some true representation here tonight. pulling over and calling that one done is Oliviati. Coming out immediately. Ready to take charge of the qualifying session again. Butler on some improvement right now. Benedito Diviso as well. Butler finds 16th position. Benedito Diviso finds 15th position. Flashy of the headlights right now. That might be Marino Cloark. No, that's not Marino Cloark. Of course, he's driving a plaid livery. What about this driver right here? Konstantinos Nikolaitis, the number 32, nothing but purple sectors through Parabolica, gets a bit of a wiggle. Able to go up into provisional pole though. All the way up to provisional pole, not too shabby. Tim Williams on some improvement finds 16th position on his own right. Toby Deck, what are you capable of? Not doing a lap right now, trying to stitch it together. Deck pulls over in his Cadillac. Butler looking for some improvement as well, driving a 3.69 currently. Benedetto Devezzo, one of my fan favorites in the number 51, the best, the 134.168, crossing over the line. Benedetto Devezzo in that number 51. That is going to be the Le Mans livery for the Sausage Dodgers. Oh no, and a big slip, trip, and fall coming in through turn number 1. That might end the qualifying session for Benedetto. Thomas Oliviati, excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît, is back out on an outlap now. As he holds provisional pole still, Rudin Ethnic. Provisional pole position constantly changing around. Here comes Konstantino Nikolaitis again. What can Lloyd Butler do? Again, like I say again and again, one of my fan favorites, looking to find some improvement tonight. Konstantino Nikolaitis actually in 8th position. Apologize for the overlay. Doing some crazy things right now. Constantino Nicolaitis running in 6th position up to this point. Behind is going to be Mark Richards. Running up his tires for the last lap. Thomas Oliviati still in pole position. Mark Richards, number 420, in 7th position. Coming off of a bit of a hot streak now for the Sausage Dodgers organization. Driver out of the UK drives the 420 Cadillac this time by. What about my good friend Benedetto DeVezzo? He's dragging a couple of marbles onto the racetrack right now, running 2 seconds off the current pace from Thomas Oliviati. Last couple of seconds of the qualifying run. This is where drivers need to really put the pedal to the metal. If ever there was an opportunity to get a drag to the line, this was it. It's not going to be it for him. What about Mark Richards? Is he going to get a little toe over the line and maybe improve from P7? No toe to be found. He pulls off in the pit lane. Paul Rocky Cook, what are you capable of doing, Mr. Cook? That'll be it for Paul Rocky Cook, and therefore Chris Carr. You came in as an opportunity to improve. Is it looking good for Carr, the number 3? All the way up to the top 10, Chris Carr does stitch it together in the final minutes of the session. Session concluding, folks. We'll get the unofficial results posted here in just a moment. Want to give a big shout out and thanks to our title sponsor, Big Power Hunters. Thank you very much for your title sponsorship of tonight's event. If you're ever looking for engine rebuilding services and need help with your organization, reach out to Big Power Hunter Services. For discovering high-performance Porsche tuning, use ES Motors in the UK. They offer turbo kits, exhaust system, and ECU tuning to enhance speed and reliability. Explore their upgrade packages today at esmotors.co. Finishing up the session right now. Like I said, we'll get those unofficial results and, of course, the grid posted in just a moment. Here at the Autodromo di Monza, going to be a challenge for the drivers to get through cleanly, especially around a track of this magnitude. 3.6 miles, a track that's been stapled in history. Founded in 1922, the current layout from 2000. They're all located in Italy, just miles and minutes away from Milan. Taking a look at our results, it'll be Konstantinos Nicolaitis, Demanio Bellino, and then Alessio Carino, the 1-2. And then third, it'll be Mattia Ubertali. Augusto Sicosio, Diego Antonio Fiore, Alejandro Casimiri, and then Diego Altermendi, Miguel Aciero, Javier Garcia, Daniel Sitnik, Vincenzo Stagnito, Angelo Capoulas, Artem Forin, Giovanni Zazzera, Forza Carino in the chat, Reda Uhali, Neil Thompson, Andrea Zigvani, Ladislav Bavarak, and Paolo Minetti. Over to the GTPs. This will be Thomas Oliviani, Simon Music, Rodin Efnick. The 1, 2, 3 there. Then Michael West, Dan Miller, Mark Richards, Oleg Karmanov, Oscar Corbett, Chris Carr, and Roberts 4 in the top 10. Take a look at our starting grid, shall we? Be Thomas Oliviati and Simon Music on that first row. Row number 2 belonging to Rodden Efnick and Michael D. West. Row number 3 going the way for Dan Miller and Konstantinos Nicolaitis. Row number 4 belongs to Mark Richards and Oleg Karmanov. Row number 5 goes this way for Oscar Corbett and Chris Carr. 6 is going to go for Roberts 4 and Toby Deck. Row number 7 for Paul Rocky Cook and Pin Van Gastel. Row number 9 is going to be Daniel Moffat and James Piper. After that, we're going to see Tim Williams and Benedetto De Bezzo. Lloyd Butler, Mauro Gabbiati on row number 10. Row number 11, Marino Clark, Damino Bellino. Going to be starting the GT3s off. Alessio Carino and Mattia Ubertali on row number 12. Row number 13, Augusto Sicosio and Diego Antonio Fiore. After Fiore, it'll be Alejandro Casimiri, Diego Altamiri, Miguel Aciero, Javier Garcia. At 16, Daniel Sitnik, Vincenzo Stagnito. Back to row number 17, George Angelopoulos and Artem Fomin. Row number 18, Giovanni Zazzera and Rita Hull. GTPs splitting up with the GT3s. Here we go, folks, for the Big Power Hunters Endurance Tour. Waiting for the green flag here on lap 1 for the 90 minutes race. About to begin the 46. Simon Music goes green, green, green. Thomas Oliviani, this is going to be the Monza Madness. Look at the 4 cars abreast in the background right now. It looks like Konstantino Nicolaitis is going to be the driver to make up moves on the opening run. 3 abreast going into turn 1. This might turn into drama for some, a little bit of mayhem for others. As the 32, Konstantinos Nicolaitis loses 2 positions. Positions can be gained or lost quick, fast, and hurry. Let's check in with the further back the field as we go. Daniel Moffat. GT3s coming through Copergande now. They're the same 3 abreast as we go through every single opening corners. Coming into the Raja chicane, it'll look like a big battle between the 69 and the Lamborghini up ahead. That's Vincenzo Stagnito going a little bit off into the gravel. He picks up a little little bit of dirt and goes down one position, but still manages to hold on. A little bit of ground. Stagnino. The number 69 is Daniel Sicknick. He's going off and collecting some kitty litter for himself also. Diego Antonio Fiore up at the front. Up in the P5 currently. Side in background, that's Miguel Aciero and Diego Artemedi going wheel to wheel out of curve of Parabolica, and the two McLarens fall in single file line. However, it'll be Rodden Efnick under attack from Simon Music on his gearbox. A bit of a drift coming through Curvalesmo 1. And look at the four cars abreast right now. The gap, though, for the lead is 2.6 seconds to Thomas Oliviati. The intervals, however, much, much closer. James Piper locked in arms with a battle with a good friend, Benedetto De Vezzo. And they're going to stay glued to each other, I bet, for the entire 90 minutes of running in the GTP category. Roberts 4 in the background right now looks on at what could have been as he's down one position. Benedetto De Vezzo kept his nose clean, is up 8 right now. Two drivers that were involved in incidents early on. Andrea Savgin went off track and had himself a crash. An unfortunate result there. Augusto Sicosio is chasing down Alicio Carino up the road. The 998 and the 666 locked in arms. A pair of a pair of Italian cars. I'm going to say a pair of Lamborghinis, but no. Ferrari leads the Lamborghini right now. The gap between Oliviani and Simon Music has opened up 3.2 seconds. The gap there, but coming down is the gap between Simon Music and Ethnic. Benedetto De Vezzo wheel to wheel with James Piper, the 999, with a little bit of a lick of the stamp and ascend coming through the first chicane, and there's mayhem abreast, and that looks like a pair of GTPs have just collected the 998 and a few others. Meatball flags galore right now. That's Oscar Corbett, Simon Music involved in that accident. But it all started with Rodden Efnick and Simon Music coming together, I believe. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened. Nose to tail for P2, P3. The nose comes off, and the 18 goes round and then into the middle of the track. Nowhere to really go and trying to stay out of the way. That's going to be mayhem galore. For the rest of the field, is GT3 field making it through cleanly through the mayhem? They are. Paul Rocky Cook with an unfortunate meatball flag there will come down pit road. Same with Rodden Efnick. He'll come down the lane also. Promotes a few and few between. Mauro Gabbiati getting the most gains now, tied with Benedetto De Vezzo by 9. Fast laps trickling in right now. 135.3 already from Thomas Oliviati, the Italian, becoming an Italian very quickly. Lloyd Butler wheel to wheel with Marino Klolarek in their head-to-head, coming into the braking zone of the first chicane. Rettafilio will be completely wheel to wheel. The 369 is fine. Marino Klolarek pulls out the overspeed and gets through on the outside line. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there. That'll be, who is that, Tim Williams? Tim Williams having an off-track moment. Let's see what happened to Timmy. Here's the 797 coming through the second chicane. Whoa, that's a big off-track moment. Big Cook Brown rejoins the racetrack in line with the rest of the field. Miguel Acerio has Paul Rocky Cook to contend with right now. And Cook gets through with no harm, no foul. Take a look up here at Mark Richards, who finds himself in a podium battle currently. He's Dan Miller up the road, and that podium starts to become a little bit more promising, especially as lap traffic starts to become a thing. Lap traffic giveth, lap traffic taketh away in the same breath, as we know. On board with Mark Richards. And that 420 nearly getting past on the outside. Konstantinos Nikolaitis, you could hear him roar, but look in the mirror at the top of your screen. There is Nikolaitis. Miguel Acerio looking at Fiore. Going into 1-2. It'll be 5th and 6th for Fiore and Acerio. Of a battle brewing back here between Enzo Capriles and I believe that'll be Javier Garcia. A new sausage to the field by the looks of it. Never seen this sausage out on the racetrack. Welcome to the team, Javier Garcia. As he sports the number 20. 3 positions gained overall, but not for the category for Garcia currently. One of the great things about Monza is the battle that it produces, especially with the draft being so powerful coming down the front stretch. Drivers able to use it to their advantage for a short time before getting to the braking zone of the first corner. Again, lap traffic now becoming a thing. The field cuts through it like a hot knife in butter. Danny Moffat and the Lucky Charms machine. The next driver across the line. 11th position for Moffat and into braking of turn 1, able to get by Shahula. And more battles continue to boil over. This is Javier Garcia and George Angela Capoulas. Angela Capoulas in that 96. Machinery around one of the toughest tracks in the world. And it looks like Garcia gets through on Angela Capoulas on this occasion. Not too shabby of a drive there. That'll be one and done for Garcia currently. Lap traffic giveth us battles galore. Liviati escapes up the road nearly 6.5 seconds now to Michael D. West. Continue to rage on. Fiore up ahead, loses ground to West and the GTP GT3 battle. But now, again, another charge for Richards. Javier Garcia goes off track, loses a position back to Angela Capoulas as the pressure continues in the GT3 category. Vincenzo Stagnito currently chases down. Look at this battle of 3 GT3s. And in the background, the 67 trying to cut through. Sees the writing on the wall and needs to avoid the 3 guys charging. Gaviani expressed a little bit of patience as the better part of valor on that one, as he saw the writing on the wall early on. Angela Capoulas trying to make the moves on Javier Garcia all over again, but no doing this time. After the Rajesh King comes the Lesmo 1. Out to the kitty litter. The drivers dip a couple wheels off into the grass. Lamborghini to the inside line on the 96 of Angela Capoulas. That will be Vincenzo Stagnito taking advantage of an open door. Look at the gaggle of cars, but the respect is given to the battles at play. Up ahead, this is the battle for GTPs. Daniel Moffat up the road, but Benedetto De Vezzo and Lloyd Butler trying to express a little bit of discretion themselves. Ferrari chases down the pack up the road. William Holly and Babarak here. Babarak in number 26, the 911 belonging to Rita O'Eel. Battle in class here. George Angelopoulos in front of Vincenzo Stagnito. Angelopoulos into Parabolica. Doesn't even consider leaving that door ajar. Look at Daniel Sidnick here. He goes wheel to wheel with Giovanni Zazzera, continuously duking this one out. Two McLarens get a little side draft down the pit run straight. And on the outside line, the 108 tries to get a switchback. It's not enough overdrive and speed to get it done before we get to Curve Grande. Javier Garcia up the road loses a couple to George Angelopoulos and Vincenzo Stagnito now. Oscar Corbett making an interesting call, comes down pit road quick and early. See, that's Oleg Karmanov who comes down pit early, and he's through and through. I believe that'll probably be a drive-through penalty. And we'll have to wait for race control to give us information on that one. Angelopoulos chased down by Vincenzo Stagnito. There he uses the draft from the GTP upper road. Uses the braking of turn one. Parks it though. That's Tim Williams, a driver you definitely don't want to take out of the race. Unless you're interested in seeing the stewards. Angelopoulos with the flashy of the headlights. Not too pleased with that run, I'm sure. Casmiri up the road from Secosio currently as they pair up. The trio running. Oh, is it a quattro? Nope, it's not a quattro. It looks like the liveries belong to Casimiri, Sicosio, and Fiore. 3 Italians running 3rd, 4th, and 5th currently. Racing Point drivers up to head. Yosemite Ale running 3rd for the class by 984. Long-legged Lamborghini. With its 5.2 V10, pushing those 500 horses to victory lane. Its mid-engine drive makes it sharp, aggressive, and dramatic. Using the same platform as the Audi V10. Raging on currently. This is Sicosio all over the rear end of his teammate, not pushing him along neither. Dan Miller chases down West in his pursuit of P2, but right now we're keeping our eye glued on this trio: Sicosio, Alejandro Casimiri, Ale, and Fiore. George Angelo Capoulas, though, in a little bit of trouble, or is he causing trouble with Vincenzo Stagnino ahead? Continuing this battle, Capoulas falls back from Vincenzo Stagnino. It's about a half second that separates them. In the background here, it's Danili Sitnik and Rita Lehal. Edge Capoulas up the road. Vincenzo Stagnino with that lovely banner defends the inside line. Neat and tiny for Stagnino. Love to see the diversity in the grid this week. We have drivers from all over the world being represented. It is phenomenal to see what the 81 doing. Goes a little off track there. That's Vincenzo Stagnito getting a little bit of kitty litter there. Vincenzo Stagnito driving the 81 Lamborghini. Traffic, get the traffic taken away, and unfortunately for Stagnito, the traffic took it away from him on that one. Constantino Nicolaitis, what are you up to, my friend? Constantinos Nicolaitis, start of the race in 6th position. Without challenging Mark Richards, let's take a look at the lap times and the head-to-head. James Piper isn't the driver we're trying to compare to, as Constantino Nicolaitis continues to go forward, but there goes Dan Miller. He's off at the first chicane. We might have a little menage a trois between the trio before not too long. Oh, Mr. Piper, Mr. Piper, Mr. Piper. What have you been conducting over this stint in that 999 Ferrari? A little bit faster than Richards over the last 5. Fortunately, catching in 6 laps. No sooner than that. What a beautiful sight to see here at the Autodromo. It is an absolute beautiful day here in Italy. Take a look at the weather. It is partly cloudy out there tonight. Air temperature of 24 degrees, track temperature of 28. So not too bad and not too aggressive for the drivers to have to deal with. Sitnik Danil comes down pit lane. That'll be the first within the first 30 minutes. James Piper chases down Mark Richards in the GTP category. We knew this one was coming. I think it was going to happen this quickly. Piper quicker and quicker, lap after lap. Take a look at the last 5 between Richards and Piper. It looks like Piper continues to chase down the leading sausage dog. James Piper did ask me before the stream went live if I would buy a Charizard if you got a podium. And, you know, James, I'll answer that question here live. Sure, let's do it. I'll go ahead and buy a Charizard for you in your honor if you get a podium tonight. Diego Artemedi, Javier Garcia in the GT3 category. They're in the pit lane currently. Gabbiati, Artemidi. It's starting to become alive. With the pit lane alive, it's curious to me what the fuel mileage would be for the drivers to see if we're going to go ahead and get more than a few pit stops tonight. Serio comes back through pit lane. On his way out after a 25-second stop. Richards and Piper now separated by 1.2 seconds. The battle still continues. That would be James Piper and Dan Miller. What about Toby Deck and Danny Moffat here? Will be the number 83 and the number 24 that exchange a couple of blows, the Cadillac versus Porsche. Michael D. West, Konstantinos Nikolai. Oh my goodness, pit lane has become electrified. As pretty much the entire field decides it's time to come down pit lane. How long are the pit stops going to take, and will the drivers come through cleanly? Liviati, Deck, West cycle to the front. Nicolaitis cycles into fourth. Clark, Richards, Piper, Miller, Vizo, Carr. Punching the accelerator to get out of the pits. Reno Clark and Oliviati have not taken pit stops. Clark under threat from Nicolaitis. Deck F, Nick, and Butler into the pits now. Let's hear predictions in the YouTube chat. Who's going to come out on top and who's going to be best of the rest? Let's find out. Oscar Corbett with a very long pit stop now. 1:29 seconds for him. Took that damage repair to get back out onto the racetrack. Benedetto Vezzo in the pit lane, tumbling down the order now. Leslie saying Oscar will have a generational comeback. We'll have to see about that. Here's the young man right now, Oscar Corbett. In the lane for 24, 25, 26 seconds. When will he exit pit lane? It's been a very long stop for DeVizzo. 35.65 from a good friend. It's a long one, a little bit longer than I expected. And he's in the lane for over a minute and 10 seconds. Take a look at the pit times for the field. At least for GTPs, GT3s to come in next. Here the race rules: open setup, 2 additional tire sets, 1 fast repair, 90-minute race, 80 and 75 for the fuel limit. Thank you, Mr. Proudly. Really appreciate you being here. Got more pit stops taking place now. Ethnic still in the pits for 2.5 minutes now. Lloyd Butler getting that damage repaired has been in the lane for 3.5 minutes. Holy Toledo. Uyhal, Rita, also in the pits right now for the GT3 category. Saula in the pits this time by. Battles continue to brew. Here's Chris Carr and Paul Rocky Cook, but it's all about Mark Richards right now and his good man Dan Miller. Dan Miller looks to the inside, coming out of Parabolica. The drivers are going to use side drafting to get by each other. Pit lane alive for the GT3s now. Miller holds Mark Richards to the outside line. This is the best run and shot that he's had in a while. Miller's through the Raja chicane. Dan Miller, and that number 23 South African man holding fast on the P5 currently. What happened here to Aserio? A little bit of nose damage right now. Nova Sim Racing Artemetti. And that number 90 McLaren again, pit lane, very much alive and well right now. Doesn't look like the field decided to take tires on their run. So that'll be an interesting call for the drivers to have made. Expecting them to double stint this first set of tires as they move on to the next heat. Well, not the next heat, the next session. Babarak in the pits, Foman in the pits. jacks up actually for Bobberak. One of the few that will take fuel and tires. Fiore and Armedi locked in arms. It is a Lamborghini lockout right now. Other than Carino driving that 666 to the top spot early on, but loses ground, sits in P2 currently. But out of pit lane comes Carino. And that'll settle that. It'll be a leading Ferrari. Once again, once Augusto Scosio decides he's had enough time leading the pack, and come in. Another big incident with Bellino. I think that's Oscar Corbett that was involved in this one. Let's take a look at this battle between Fiore and Aserio. Oh, a little bit of rubbing racing between the McLaren and the Lamborghini, who's driving with a little bit of his heart on his sleeve. The Racing Point driver ends up spinning. I think that was Lloyd Butler, Uncle Lloyd, touched inappropriately. Here, a Bellino. Oh, and Bellino's round again at Curva Parabolica. What happens after the fact? No way, Jose! Oh, goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Well, let's see what happens to Uncle Lloyd here. Oh, as he's pointed the wrong way out of turn number 1. Gets pointed back in the right direction. Where does he go off track? Oh, man. Uncle Lloyd gets just licked there. Terrible incident. Not the way we want to see positions gained or lost. Catching my breath, hydrating while I have a moment to, because the battles are finally settled down just a little bit. Except for the iron lynx of Pavel Nemrava. Wants to go toe-to-toe with Neil Thompson, who's up the road. What can the AMG pairing come up with tonight as they run in 14th and 15th, respectively, in their category? Disconnect there for Pavel Nemrava. Everything's okay. Take a look at one of my favorite fans. Oh my goodness, who was that? Off in the background, is that? Oh no, Uncle Lloyd with another incident now, the 369. What happens here to Uncle Lloyd as he rejoins the racetrack? Just gets slaughters that sausage. Everything's okay for Uncle Lloyd by the looks of it. Safe rejoin there, no harm, no foul. Beat me though. Here's what happened there at the second chicane. "20-second gap currently between Thomas Oliviati and Michael D. West. Dan Miller and James Piper here and now. Piper continues his charge. Up 12 positions for that lovely GTP 999. Mattia Ubertali comes down into the pits. That'll be his second time running in a pit lane for the number 21. Diego Artemadi, Augusto Sicosio, locked in arms. Here we go. A lot of drivers in the pit lane here. The Ubertali, Paul Bellino, and Lloyd Bolarosa. Big check up there for the Nova Racing 90. But Diego Artemadi, sure he's not too pleased about that one. A driver we haven't really kept our eyes on so far, Giovanni Zazzera, though. Out here looking to impress someone or make that 5 positions gain as they duke it out with Mattia Ubertali. Getting by one, getting by the other. Mattia Ubertali and Vincenzo Stagnito are behind, watching on. Artemadi leads, is behind Augusto Sicosio in this battle for the Nova Motors Esports and the Racing Point vehicles. Take a look at the lap times here. As we can see, looks like Artemadi has been consistently faster and faster than Augusto Sicosio. However, we don't know it's one thing to catch, it's a whole nother thing to pass in its own right. Artemadi looking for an opportunity to put in the hard work to get by in the Racing Point 988 Lamborghini of Augusto Sicosio. There it is, the move into Parabolica. Motors Racing 90 sends it, but too deep, and it's just gonna spin the Lamborghini around. They're gonna come together. No way, Jose. Let's see if we can get a replay of what happened there. Ooh. Yes, 2 does not go into 1 scenario. The 174 and the 138 here and now. Artem Fomin and Andrea Zabgin going wheel to wheel all the way through Parabolica cleanly. And then down the front stretch. Look at that gaggle with GT3s behind. We'll check in with them here in just a second. But the attack into turn 1 belongs to the 138 of Artem Fomin. Looking further back. Here's a charge 2x2. It'll be led by the Mercedes. Pavel Nemrava, Azab Bavarak, Neil Thompson, and Karel Sahul. Bavarak, Thompson, Sahul, all locked in this little 4-way battle currently. And look at the clock continue to tick over. Time flies when you're having fun, folks. Again, losing ground. Nemrava up the road. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the two. They jostle for position and try to get the best run that they possibly can. So back at Bavarak and the Quattro here. Neil Thompson leads the paired up Mercedes right now in 14th and 15th position. Up the road, Arden Fomin looks to the inside line, tries to sell the dummy to Miguel Acerio. Acerio ain't having none of that. George Angelo Capoulis comes into the pits now. Driver that I really expected to do fantastically well comes down pit road, the number 96. Vitali continues his charge, chases down Giovanni Zazzaro. Up 9 positions, tremendous run for Zazzaro. In the background, there goes Dan Miller through and through on the GT3 traffic. That Osmo 2 cuts through it. Easy, easy. Cover. Toby Deck also comes down pit road just about the 2/3 mark through this event. Oh, Daniel Sitnik. What happened here? Oh, it all goes wrong at Parabolica. Mark Richards in the pit lane. This should be the last one of the stint. Expect the drivers to be able to go at least 30 minutes on a full fuel tank. Gabbiani all over the rear end of Danny Moffat. In the GTP category, they're separated by only half a second, but we'll stay glued here with the Ubertali Zazzara battle. Gap becomes inverted for the first time as Ubertali gets through on Zazzaro. Now can he keep up the lap times? That looks like a pit stop there for Zazzaro anyways. Tries to go for the undercut. Oscar Corbett into pit lane this time around also. Neil Thompson leads the trio. Excuse me, Bavarak leads the trio. There's a big moment for Neil Thompson. Big Code Brown coming out of the penultimate corner. Danny Moffat, Mauro Gabbiati have to cut through the GT3 field now, and hopefully they can do it down the front straightaway and not through the first chicane. But attacks will be made as they find a patch of opening to go wheel to wheel. 6-7 goes through. Mauro Gabbiati, nice move there. As he cut through the inside line and set that one up from a long way back. Again, thank you very much for joining, folks. Thank you very much for staying tuned to the Big Power Hunters Endurance Tour presented by Sausage Dodgers Racing. There's a big moment for Danny Moffat as he tries to squeeze through the two, and able to do so, but that did cause a little bit of mayhem between the GT3 drivers. Cautions breed cautions, they say, but we'll find none here tonight, folks. The field stays green and clean. Danny Mofat decides enough is enough. Oliviati in the pit lane also. Immediately up on the jacks, meaning that he will take tires and fuel. Out of pit lane goes Oliviati and onto the racetrack. He's going to be behind Dan Miller by 15, nearly 16 seconds, but he has made a second pit stop of the race. Cold tires for the number 33, Thomas Oliviati. Has a moment coming through the Raja. Morgan Javier Garcia, both in and through. Now things have calmed down a little bit. Let's talk about the history of Milan, history of Monza, and the fact that it was built in 1922 inside the Royal Park of Monza, adjacent to Milan, making it constructed in just 110 days. It was the third purpose-built race circuit in the world for its time. Of course, there was Brooklands in the UK, Indianapolis in the United States, and then there became Monza. The project was initiated by the Automobile Club of Milan to support Italy's growing car industry and to provide a permanent venue for the Italian Grand Prix. Well, isn't this interesting? Constantino Nicolaitis all over the rear wing of Dan Miller up the road. I think that's going to be the 797 of Tim Williams battling with Toby Deck. It is going to be Deck. It is going to be Williams. Constantino's Nicolaitis sees Dan Miller in his crosshairs, though. Slip up at Parabolica. George Angelo Capoulas and Daniele Sitnik look like they were involved in that one. Mark Richards backed that thing up into James Piper. 999 under attack now as he falls back to order into 7th position. Mark Richards looks to the outside on James Piper. Can't make the move stick at Parabolica, but can he get the switchback engaged? He does, and that will maintain the inside line, but that sets him up for pit lane, but he avoids it. Richards avoids pit lane. Sounds like he's got enough fuel for one more lap of racing. Then try to throw down another gauntlet. Monza hosted the Italian Grand Prix from 1922, quickly becoming a centerpiece of the European motorsport industry. Deck gets by his 4 there. It sits with the slowdown penalty. Quickly, the circuit became famous and gotten already for extreme speeds and dangerous braking. Because, of course, tragedy struck early. A major crash in the 1928 killed driver Emilio Matarassi and 27 spectators, one of the worst disasters in racing history. Deck putting out all the stops, gaps Robert's 4. That'll be Tim Williams in the background here, who's left to contend with Marino Clark and pick up the pieces for the category. Wes Miller, Nicolaitis, all in the lane. Williams with a sneaky peek on Marino Clark, but no doing on that run. Tim Williams chases down Marino Clark. Let's take a look at the lap times. Williams losing a little bit of time there. I'll be the race leader, the 33 of Thomas Oliviani, getting by Tim Williams now. The same thing, Oliviani getting through now on Marino Clark, who doesn't put up a fight. Marino Clark left to his own devices now. Not too far back to get the help of draft from Thomas Oliviani. Tim Williams into the pits now. Oh no! Austin Powers into pit lane. Chris Carr. What a weird accident for Chris Carr. Absolutely gutting. Going to the final pit stop of the race, Chris Carr has a big one. Leaves us with just James Piper and Mark Richards to duke it out. Back here, the battle between Babarak, Louis Sahul, and Vincenzo Stagnito here. This is for the top 10. Babarak up the road by a second. He chases down Cesara. Big leap of faith dive there from the 96. Cuts through. Gets that one done. Car recovers after that last pit stop drama. And sees Deck up ahead with a little bit of damage to his front. He potentially gets position for free. Up ahead, Dan Miller and Konstantinos Nikolaitis as Konstantinos looks for that podium. Meatball flag for Dan Miller. See how bad the damage is for Miller. Car looks to still be tracking okay, but we'll have to come in and get that damage repaired before the end of the race, unfortunately for Miller. Despite the risks here at Monza and high banking, the crashes, and even the deaths, unfortunately, Italian manufacturers like Alfa Romeo flocked became synonymous with the word Monza. After the 1950s to today, Monza has hosted the Italian Grand Prix in nearly every season of Formula One history except for 1980. The circuit became Ferrari's special home. The famous Tifosi crowds create one of the most electric atmospheres in racing. Vincenzo Stagnito chases down Babarak. Babarak looks onwards in the 96 with a little bit of a bump there. A hip check. The 96 goes backwards with the 81. And Vincenzo Stagnito gets through. Now contends with Babarak all the way to the pit wall. Magneto defends the inside line. Holds it steadfast into the braking zone. Nearly standing on the brake pedal. Vincenzo Stagnato parks it on the apex. Stays in front of Bavarak. Dan Miller finally comes down pit lane. It's that surface. Better take care of that meatball fly. Ray Clark wheel to wheel out of Parabolica. None other than Oleg Karmanov. Reno Clark, the meat of the sandwich between Karmanov and the British driver Benedetto De Vezzo. But let's look away at the Javier Garcia and Artem Fomin battle. On board with Garcia now. We go into the final 10 minutes of this race. Still curious to hear your predictions in chat. Who's going to come out on top? We heard it's going to be a recovery drive from Oscar Corbett. It didn't end up working out that way. Reno Clark on his way out of the pits. Uncle Lloyd getting through on a few DT3s to try to get back onto the lead lap here. Garcia chases down Fomin in their battle. The last 10 minutes, this is going to be where the drivers end up faring. Look to the inside line on the Lamborghini, but a big block by Foreman. Doesn't even flinch to recover. In the outside line for the McLaren driver. Garcia tries to carry enough speed on entry to slingshot himself on the exit. Can he pull that off? It will be pulled off because Foreman comes down the pit road. Well, Minetti leads Corral Sola. This is Cosi leads Arlen Foreman. Tim Williams and Daniel Moffat lock and stir, and the battle for 12th and 13th lies in their hands. Big off, Marino Kalaric straight off at Parabolica. Just a big lockup from Kalaric. Tim Williams again chases down Moffat, but the gap of 30 seconds might be too steep for him to climb. He can do with Oleg Karmanov for the final few minutes of this race. Take a look at the lap times between Moffat, Williams, and Karmanov here as they all cross the line. Well, Moffat is slower than the pairing. It's not enough time on that clock, barring a mistake from Moffat. Konstantinos Nikolaitis and James Piper are through pit lane. Capable of doing back here, my friend. Gap has just continued to trickle down between Williams and Karmanov. Gaps opened up in the final 4 minutes of this race. Monza has hosted the 1,000 kilometers in the 6 hours of Monza, the historic sports car racing dating back to 1949. Of course, modern series like WEC and GT championships continue the tradition here. A track that was built in 1922 in speed, danger, and passion. Monza stands as one of motorsport's most iconic venues. From the thunder of the banking to the roar of Ferraris Tifosi. Tempo Speed has witnessed championship triumphs, heartbreak, tragedies, and some of the fast racing the world has ever seen. Dan Miller still sitting with a meatball flag. Have to make another trip down pit road to get those repairs taken care of. Piper and Deck with slowdown penalty. Dan Miller now up in the 4th position, but most likely lose it, and that equal flag will take him out of contention. Thomas Oliviani running all by his lonesome currently. It's very close to being white flag lap or not. Let's see what Barney says. Barney says no, it's not the white flag lap. Deck paces down Piper. 911 giving a little bit of weight there for Piper. He's able to cut through. Deck, unfortunately, not able to do the same. Balls in single file line. A little bit of a wheel spin moment there for Deck. Konstantinos Nikolaitis, though, is down Deck just within a second. What about the top 10 there? Goes to Sicosio. Is that secured yet? And it's Artem Foreman. He's here ready to retort. But will be a pit stop there for Sicosio, leaving that one up to Artem Foreman. Thomas Hines. Here we go. Last lap. From Thomas Oliviati. What an amazing run. What a commanding dominance he's had this evening. 90 minutes on the clock, 35-second gap to Michael D. West. Kept his nose clean, kept out of trouble, and he did everything right at the end of the day. Thomas Oliviani is going to cross the line and take the checkered flag after 90 grueling minutes around Monza in Italy. Time to go shopping here in Milan. I bet it's nice and cool this time of year. Big old weaves there from Oliviani. But the run, the victory, the championship lead, it goes to Thomas Oliviati. Michael D. West will cross the line in P2. Mark Richards comes home with a podium in the GTP category. Carino, what can be said here for the TRT driver? 666 is dominated with a 14-second lead over Casimiri. Drive for Carino. Casimiri comes home in P2, and third for Diego Antonio Fiore. What a victory. What a 90-minute bout to round out this inaugural season. Take a look at the results for the GTP category. It was Thomas Oliviati. And then Michael D. West, Mark Richards in third. Hard charger being James Piper at the end of the evening. Then Thomas Oliviati had the most laps led with 52. Fast lap goes his way as well. Pim Van Gastel in fourth, James Piper, Toby Deck, Konstantinos Nikolaitis, Chris Carr, Dino Mofat, Mauro Gabbiati, Tim Williams, Oleg Karmanov, Oscar Corbett, Benedetto DeVezzo, Dan Miller, Randall Clark, Lloyd Butler, Paul Cook, and Rodin Efnick round out the 20 in the GTP category. Over to the GT3s, Carino took the win, Casimiro Ale and the end with P2. Antonio Fiore in third. Matteo Ubertali in fourth. Miguel Acerio. Javier Garcia. Giovanni Zazera. Vincenzo Stagnito. Artem Fomin. Augusto Sicosio. Domino Bellino. Vladislav Babarak. Paolo Manetti. Carol Suha. Andrea Zavagin. George Angelo Capoulas. Rita Oil. Andrew Kesterton, Pavel Nemrava, and Daniel Sitnick ran out the top 20 there. Get our drivers ready to be interviewed here in a moment. First and foremost, let's go ahead and talk to Michael D. West, who came home in second place for his category. Michael D. West, welcome to the broadcast booth here in Italy. What a fantastic run. What a fantastic charge on the evening. How do you feel about P2 after 90 minutes around the Temple of Speed?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I don't really feel like I was super quick, but yeah, just consistency and not getting in any trouble, no silly little mistakes. You know, worked out all right.
Sure did. And what was the strategy coming into this race with the pit stops, knowing that you had a limited fuel load? How are you splitting this one up?
I guess I didn't really have too much of a plan going into it. I decided it made sense to take the tyres in the first stop and then run a shorter stint on the used. Outside of that, didn't really have too much I was thinking about with it.
Well, it worked out for you in the end, sir. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out or anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Just everyone on Sausage Chargers for making a league. Like, they've done a brilliant job of organising it. Everything was super clear. So yeah, thank you to all of them.
Thank you very much to you as well for supporting the Sausage Dodgers. Have a great night, and as always, make sure you stay safe out there.
You too.
We'll talk to Mark Richards following that. The Sausage Dodger had to dodge a couple of other sausages on the racetrack tonight. 90 minutes of Well, how would you describe it, Mark?
That was good. That was great. There was lots of traffic, lots of new faces as well in different classes of cars as well. So it was really interesting to see everyone how they would get on, and it was really tough out there as well. A great competition this season.
It really is a lot of new faces, a lot of new drivers, but the skill and the respect is still there amongst the field. Not a whole lot of code browns and not a lot of crazy incidences. Glad to have the stewards taking care of that tonight. But how do you feel about the race overall, and how do you look forward to the rest of the championship?
Yeah, today was a really good result. I didn't really expect it. Monza's never really strong for me, and to be fair, I probably shouldn't have had the podium because James and Constantinos had that little coming together. Which is really unfortunate. James was really quick, so yeah. And one of my shout outs would be to James. Bad luck, and looking forward to good battles in the future with him. Fuji's going to be good. Le Mans, Daytona, Road Atlanta is it's a great season.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good charge. Is there anybody you want to shout out or anybody you want to thank, my friend?
I'll shout out to Jill. She's a big supporter. So yeah. And to yourself, the stewards as well. Stewards did a great job. Really interesting to have that kind of live stewarding, instant action on incidents, which is big motivator or demotivator. So yeah, big shout out to everyone involved.
Yeah, big shout out indeed. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us in the broadcast booth. Have a great night and stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Well, that, folks, that's going to close things out for us. On behalf of the Sausage Dodgers, on behalf of AK Esports, I'd like to extend my gratitude to everybody who joined in to support Sausage Dodgers Racing tonight. Really appreciate all the love and support. Appreciate everybody showing up and showing out. This was a great grid this evening. With that being said, have a great night, everybody. And as always, make sure you stay safe out there. Goodbye for now.